Jim Moylan to call a special legislative session so lawmakers can amend the RISE Act. And as many of you know, that's the law that passed last year. It's supposed to pay out $800 and $1,600 in local pandemic assistance. In his letter, Moylan says the proposed amendments would include starting the payouts within 1 month of the bill's passage, increasing the amounts to $1,000 per individuals and $2,000 per couple, and removing the $30 million cap so all who are eligible will get paid. And so again, here is Nestor Lecanto during that press conference yesterday at Adelup.
So Senator Moylan is asking you to call a special session so they can possibly amend the RISE Act. Those amendments include starting payments within 30 days of passage, removing the 30 million cap, and increasing payments to 1,000 for individuals and 2,000 for couples. What's your response to that?
First of all, the RISE Act, I believe, as written with the additions that I've made, is we'll be able to meet the needs of our people. Special sessions, Nestor, are usually for emergencies. And I'm sorry, but I don't consider his request as an emergency. I don't also feel that maybe his serious concerns are that serious because he brought up those concerns during the deliberation of the RISE Act, and they were not supported by his colleagues. And it also, I think his letter was a little bit kind of harsh to what we are experiencing now with the memorials that we're doing, as he referred to serious concerns, which is sort of overlapping with our laying of the wreath, meaning that, to me, took it as that laying of the wreath in DC is not a serious and not a significant and important event. Just wanted to also let the people know, because I know he gave you his letter, that I'm not going out there just to lay a wreath, as he says, but I'm going out there to meet with key White House officials. I'm going out there to meet with key Department of Defense officials. I'm going out there to meet with key congressional officials. And so I think his whole letter was just politicizing this All Rice program, Nestor. I think our administration has done some very important and very helpful financial aids to not just the people who need it, and not just the people that are not employed, and not just the people with certain income eligibilities, but also to the small business. Every dollar that has been received by our administration has been given back out to the people of Guam. So to equate it as something that laying the wreath in DC diminishes, I think, the significance in light of the fact that we are now going to all these various sites where we are honoring our Menumku, we're honoring our people, we're honoring those who have died, we're honoring those who have suffered, we're honoring a very sensitive, very emotional, very tragic, very traumatic event, which is the occupation of the Japanese during World War II. And so to even mention that I'm just going out to DC to lay a wreath, I think diminishes and I think insults the people of Guam. And also, I think minimizes the tragic events that Armin Umku have experienced, and which I have included in the All Rise, which he did not. So as you can see, I'm very concerned about his letter. I think what he has said in his letter is, to me, I think used to politicize a very fragile situation. That's my response, Nestor.
To be fair, we did ask the governor to come on this show last Tuesday. We put in the request. Well, I put it into Crystal Paco San Augustine, and she said she would ask, and we never heard back. So I'm assuming it's a no. But we got the minority report here with Minority Leader Senator Chris Duenas, who was gracious enough to come on and share the show with us. Thank you for joining us, Senator.
Good morning, Chris and Bree and Jason. And to open this morning, I want to say, all rise.
All rise.
And to use BJ's quote, I know he's going to be following me. I can't wait to listen to him. I ain't buying it.
Boy, the gov was pretty triggered with this rise. You know what, though? I mean, what's really sad is that I don't know if it's just because maybe she doesn't hear from a lot of people who aren't in, but if you talk to anybody out here who's eligible for this RISE Act, they're very, very upset about it. And I just feel like if we had asked the governor, hey, what's your message to these people? Or if she'd have come out here and talked to them, or you know what I mean? If there wasn't this buffer between, her and the regular people, the little people out here, then maybe she would get a clue as to how much of an emergency this is, not for Senator Moylan or the Guam legislature, but for the people that the RISE Act was intended to assist. And
Well said, Chris.
Crazy.
Well said, Chris. And, all of us senators are getting phone calls, emails, Facebook messages on a daily basis. And that's the absolute truth. You're right, Chris. The people who believe it's an emergency are the people who have been hanging on and holding out hope, especially since there's been so much media coverage over this. I really take issue with this discussion on politicizing the RISE Act. Governor, I'm sorry, but you're the only one, in my opinion, who has politicized this RISE Act. You snatched it out of the legislature, and the law is meaningless at this point. Because when you did what you did by executive order, you have taken over the program. But you constantly refer to the law. You refer to the law that the 30 million cap is all you can spend, although you've expanded the program exponentially. You refer to the law when you say that you have to have, all of the rules and regulations for the cumbersome application process. Everything that you have done has tried to have it both ways, referring to the law, the limitations of the law, but having done it by executive order, it's your program. You can expedite it. You can do what you need to do. You can raise the cap. You can do anything you need to do to take care of the people who are counting on this RISE Act. I call this RISE Act bipartisan. Jokingly, our good friend Lester Carlson, from the governor's office, who I take issue with on another issue, says, Senator Moylan, myself, and Senator Tony Atta are now his favorite Democrats because of the fact that the RISE Act, of course, was, done by a colleague of ours in the former legislature, and Jim Moylan's bill, basically, and the bill that Tony Atta and myself signed on to was going to, enhance the RISE Act, was going to give some additional revenue. So all Jim's saying basically is, Senator Moylan's saying basically is, we have a vehicle here. We have a bill that could become law because you refer to the restrictions of the law that you can use to do this if you want to do it and fix what you say the law doesn't allow you to do, although you've done this by executive order. It's completely disingenuous to me, and I just think it's a disservice to the people.
Well, tell us what you really think.
I think I had an extra large smoothie this morning. But,
You must have got the wheatgrass.
yeah, no, there was no special shots in that. But no, that is how I feel because the thing is that that's exactly what has happened to this. When it became the executive order, that was the introduction of the politicization of the process. If the governor would have just followed the law, as she refers to a number of different times, we wouldn't be talking about this anymore. The money would be in people's hands, and we would be moving on to other things.
Yeah.
Moving on to other things like the AARP plan,
let's just hang
Yeah.
on this rise for just a second, Senator. But I mean, the ignoring of the Rise Act law, you know, she kind of set a pattern. I want to say when the speaker had that bill to give $10 million to GMH, $10 million they never got and was never accounted for. And now we have this Rise Act. At what point do you guys as a body or even a minority, at what point do you just kind of say, okay, enough letter writing, what can we really do about this situation? Because you're right, it's frustrating. It's so frustrating that we're sitting here talking about the governor paying out something that was passed into law in December and doing all the changes, adding all, you know, everybody, but not putting the money there to cover everybody. You're right. I just don't understand. It's really sad.
And you know, there were two letters. It wasn't just to the governor. There was also the letter to the speaker. I mean, do we really need the governor to call them into special session, or can the speaker do it herself? And if, in fact, that's the case, has there been a response to this call for a special session from her?
I haven't spoken to Senator Moylan this morning, but I thought he was, you know, correct to do that as well. I mean, we do have that power. You know, I gotta say that we constantly try to, you know, work with the administration. We constantly try to work with the governor. There are so many solutions in a number of different bills. Before the legislature came out and was kind of duped when we were asked for our plan, and now we see nothing from the governor. Essentially, we have always tried to work. And, you know, that I'm proud of this legislature for that reason. You know, you've had the speaker on a number of times. She's very clear on what she believes the Rise Act, what needs to happen. And so, yes, it's within her power. You know, hopefully she will. And now that the governor has declared that she's not, you know, she's not going to call us into special session to address Senator Moylan's bill, which could be the vehicle to fix all the things if there are deficiencies. But certainly the speaker has the power, and I hope she does it. You know, this is a really something that's a growing concern for our community. You know, I just wonder, you know, if we do go in and do that and we pass this legislation in whatever form, you know, what will the governor do then? Veto it, saying, I've already issued an executive order? I mean, this is not how we want to govern. And I think this legislature time and time again has shown that we constantly try to work with the administration. But, you know, a lot of the pushback that we get is, you know, it's my show. And so I just think that's an unfortunate way to conduct business.
So what are you guys gonna what are you guys gonna do?
What are you going to do about it?
I mean, you're not gonna get it. Apparently, this their spending plan, Adelup spending plan, is not gonna be
Shared.
right by you know,
I don't
during
get
your
it, though.
budget oversight.
I don't get
hearings,
it, 'cause
by
every-
the time you guys got to
I
finalize the
know.
budget.
And then every time you ask the governor about transparency, she's got to be like, this administration is the most transparent. We're the most open administration. We're the administration that shares all the documents with the public, but they're not.
We saw GDOE just last week, I think. They provided their spending plan
Yeah.
for the our ARPA money that they're receiving, and it went from a $300 million budget to a $200 million
Correct.
budget.
Yeah.
So, what are you guys gonna do? I mean, how do you?
You know, you folks are exactly right. And we need to have a serious talk to the budget chair, you know, with the budget chair. You know, you could see what was going on. As soon as they rolled out the 17 million that they were going to use the federal funds for on public health, the 10 million for GMH, and then I and my other colleagues kept asking questions to try to figure out how we were going to adjust the budget, they shut down. Now, a few of them, because I think it's the power of Chris and what does Jason have? That truth lasso? You were able to extract from a couple other agencies what their actual request was. But you could tell that there was a phone call or a cabinet meeting that took place that said, no more discussion on what we're doing with our funds. We're not telling the legislature, and we already saw their plan, and you know they showed us theirs, and we don't want to show them ours. So you know it's really been at this point another disingenuous you know process, and frankly I'm upset about it. I think that the people of Guam should be upset about it too. We're going into a budget process where now we don't know exactly what the governor wants to do with that money. You know, Congressman San Nicolas invited some of us senators on to go through the update on the closing out of the comments and the questions. And you know, Chris and Bree, you know, let's break some news today, right? I really think what this is about is not about the program areas, but it's about the reporting requirements. And most of the questions that we were able to ascertain from the states were trying to figure out how they could match their programs to the ARP, right? And so what it came down to was, you guys already know the program areas. If you got a reporting requirement that doesn't show that you've met those program requirements, then you're gonna have to pay for it yourself. It's pretty clear. These comments are really all about, you know, some states maybe trying to put, you know, a square peg in a round hole. If it doesn't fit, then you can't use it. But this thing about the fact that the program isn't established and we can't spend money is not right. Many states are spending money right now. The CNMI is spending money.
Crazy.
But the thing is, let's be clear. If you're going to spend money to help the people because of the pandemic, there's no reason why that's not pandemic related. If you're going to spend money, you know, to take care of agencies like Customs, did you guys see Customs when they came in?
Yeah.
Customs,
What a
is
shame.
flat broke.
Yep.
They can't even pay their rent up there. They were told to get to the back of the line in terms of doing their recruitments. They can't even do testing and prepare for the next cycle to come in. Meanwhile, they have retirements, resignations, all these things happening, and their workforce is just dwindling. That is absolutely a perfect expenditure of ARP funds, because they have lost most of their revenue because the airport shut down, and they're not getting the fees that normally come with the employments that come into Guam. You cannot tell me she can't drop 10 million into their budget right now. You got issues with agriculture. You got issues with other law enforcement that are not just the frontliners. You know, you got monitoring and all these kind of things that are happening, which a lot of their money came from special funds. Those special funds are non-existent right now. That is very clear that you could spend that money. So we're going to go in and try to fashion a budget that we don't even know, you know, what the governor intends to do. And I think that's just a bad way to work with the legislature. If I was the appropriations chair right now, I would consider maybe reducing, you know, the overall general fund by $100 million and say, Governor, you know, where are you going to put this money? Or what agencies are you going to fund? So because this is no longer the budget that you sent to us, because we just don't know what you're going to do. You've already said you're going to spend 27, or you use 27 million for 2 healthcare agencies, and then you stop talking to us.
You know,
So something's got to clear.
So just as unified as the legislature was when they signed that letter with regard to their spending plan with the ARP funds, and you guys went up to Adelup for this meeting, are we going to see some sort of a unified response to BBMAR and Adelup saying, we're not going to give you this spending plan? It might not happen till
why don't you do like
after the budget.
You know, in the state,
You know?
when the Congress and they're warring over the budget, they do like a shutdown. It's like, okay, you don't want to do it? Okay, we're just going to shut everything down. Because I really feel like you guys haven't upped the ante. I mean, the governor's just bulldozing you guys. She is. I mean, sorry to say, but she is. She's not paying the Rise Act. We sound like a broken record complaining about her not paying the Rise Act, but what are we actually doing about it?
I mean, not even a draft investment plan or something.
And it's crazy. I sent how many FOIAs to Adelup? I mean, I don't understand. I mean, it's stuff you're giving to the Treasury. Why can't you share with the people of Guam your plans? It's frustrating. I've reached out to the budget chair. I was just looking at my WhatsApp, Senator Joe San Augustine. I reached out to him on January 26th. Senator, can you come on about the budget and the shortfall? February 10th. Senator, can we get you and Steve G on to talk about the budget? February 24th. Senator, can you honor us with your presence on the link to talk about the budget? Monday, March 8th. Can you come on to talk about the state of the island? Put favor. Monday, March 15th. Can you come on tomorrow? Reacts to the governor's reopening plan. Wednesday, July 7th. Can you come on with Tello about the public hearing tomorrow at 7:30? Thursday, July 8th, can you come on and talk about the budget? No response. Nothing. Nothing.
I think you guys have done your job in teeing up the fact that the showdown's going to have to be the budget. The beauty of that is it's the committee of the whole. So, you know, God bless our good friend Lester Carlson. When we come down and we open up in the committee of the whole, and I will give this to the budget chair. He has done what we've asked him to do. he's marked off the whole month of August for the budget. He has told us that he is going to give us the budget 1 week before we go in, so we don't have to deal with this old school of, you know, in sometimes when the legislature is cold and you get the budget because it's such a voluminous document and they give it to you just when you walk in the session hall, that's what you can use to warm your hands because it just came out of the copier machine, and that's what you get to do to review the budget. We're going to have a week to review the budget according to the chair. But I can tell you right now, the Republicans for sure will have many a very poignant questions during the committee of the whole during the budget. And we might even fix the RISE Act in the budget. Stay tuned.
Wow. And you know, so concerning because by September, no more PUA, right? I'm just kind of
Can I
worried.
mention one more thing?
Yeah.
That's confused me yesterday big time. You know, the governor mentioned that the tax, the child tax credit. When asked about that, when she was asked by a media outlet, are you going to do that on a monthly basis like it's prescribed for? And she said, well, we're going to take a look. Maybe we're going to do it once a year or twice a year. You know, those people that are getting that, and the expansion of that program is not to get a lump sum check once a year or twice a year.
Yeah, they're
These
poor.
are people
They're
who
poor
are
people.
living on the poverty level.
Yeah, it's poor
They
people,
need
just
that
like the
check.
RISE Act. It's all poor people that are being ignored and shoved to the side.
They need that and deserve that check every month. And even if it's because of reimbursement, Chris and Bree, we can build up 1 quarter's worth of funding, you know, and at least let them know you're going to get your first quarter in the next couple of months. And then what we're going to do is we've built up that reserve already, and you will definitely get it on a monthly basis. If it requires legislation, I will introduce a bill. I got to make sure that we can effectuate programs coming from the federal government. But Governor, that is a disservice to the people to say you're going to give them that money once or twice a year. We don't need to treat that like the issue with regard to EITC and also the issue of tax refunds. These are monies coming directly from the federal government, and these monies need to be paid to these people who are trying to make ends meet and survive every day and every month.
Yeah, I don't know. The timing of this trip as well, I mean, you know, lay all the wreaths you want, but there's just so many questions with this funding, and this is right about the time that they said the comment period would be over and we'd start hearing about the plan, the invisible plan for the American Rescue Plan. And it's crazy, like, you'd have no idea what you're going to use this money on, I mean, even off the top of your head.
Well, she said that they had a draft investment plan. That's what
Right,
she told
yeah.
Isaiah last week.
Correct. But you can't FOIA a draft anything, which is
Yeah.
why they're calling it a draft. So if I go send a FOIA, it's one of the exemptions, draft. Oh, we don't have to share with the public. Well, why wouldn't you want to, though? If I would hear Senator Duenas, if I was the governor or the communications director, anybody who's paying attention, if anyone is, I would be like, let's shut these clowns up. Let's come out with our plan. Boom. You know what I mean? It's so simple.
Exactly. And you know, the thing, I want to call on the state clearinghouse too, because really right now, that's where the rubber hits the road. Everything that I read and heard, Chris and Bree, the program areas have not expanded. The comment period really has been for reporting requirements. That's why we have a state clearinghouse. A state clearinghouse is in the governor's office. It's supposed to tell every grant recipient, this is your program areas. This is what you will be approved to spend your money on. And this is, and I'll tell you one thing we shouldn't have spent our money on is that quarantine, because the public auditor ain't buying it. But if I can close with this, you know, I was also very concerned, Bree, I know you're using the fact that we would go to PCOR 4, you know, after our herd immunity accomplishment. Well, once again, Nestor asked the question that got us a real answer. The governor said, no, I will stay in PCOR 3 because of masks and some of this other stuff. And, you know, I'm going to call it the way I see it. I think it's so that she can continue to extend the emergency powers. And if she's going to do that, then that's where I'm going to call on the legislature to stand up, pass a resolution, end the emergency.
Okay.
Okay.
You mentioned that audit. What are your thoughts about that audit?
How about that audit, though?
Yeah.
Ooh, boy, that's why they had that press conference early. I think there was a deal. I bet the public auditor was like, I'll tell you what, I'll put out the audit after the press conference so you don't get all these, like, pesky son-in-law questions, because those are the worst. But trust me, I asked them.
You know, everything that the attention that I was able to pay to the 35th, the defining moment to me of the 35th was Senator Sabina Perez's oversight hearing. And I have never seen on camera and on Zoom so many staff members and others. You could literally see them walking behind the chairs of individuals to make sure that questions were either answered or not answered. Because you could literally see that they knew that they had, they knew they had a situation. And unfortunately, there wasn't a second one. But by that time, they've packed out of that place and headed for greener pastures. And so we were. Some of us were getting reports that that civil defense was the one really constantly saying, "Look, guys, this is going to be a problem. This allowable cost is just not going to cut it, and the general fund's going to have to pay for this." And I think that's what's going to end up happening in the end. Reporting requirements. If you report and you don't have a proper procurement, you're going to pay it yourself. And so that's why I'm saying the demonstration of emergency powers and emergency procurement has,
maybe
has been
You saw Claudia Ekfaji. I remember that oversight hearing.
Yeah.
Claudia Ekfaji,
Carlo
Charles
Branch.
Esteves,
Right, yeah.
from Civil Defense. They were like, we ain't signing nothing.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's just funny to me because they really overextended themselves in trying to defend this haphazard and probably illegal procurement. I mean, there's everything in this audit, from the conflict of interest that the former legal counsel used to work for the bank and orchestrated this procurement in order to stave off a probable I mean, it's just nuts. It's nuts. It's crazy. But this is what everyone was saying, and now a year later, practically, the audit comes out, and it's like validation.
Bree, you not only had I'm not signing that, you had I didn't sign that.
Yeah. Remember that? And they digitally forged Linda. It was insane. That was insane.
Well, good for her. She wasn't playing ball, right? She said, no, that's not my signature.
Wow. You guys remember that? That's crazy. I want to go back and watch some of those shows for Liberation. Requeue. Well, Senator, it's been a blast. You're fired up this morning. I like that.
Well, thanks a lot. And in closing, though, I want to wish the people of Guam a very happy liberation. I know that there's been some assertion that, this is a reverent, a time for reverence, a time for, us understanding and remembering. But it's also a time to remember that our people are resilient, and they fight for their rights. They survived the war. They're the greatest generation because they don't give up. And so, yes, we may have these battles, and yes, we may have these, words for each other, but it's because we believe in our island and we believe in our people. And we're not going to sit down and we're not going to lay down when we think something can be done. That is us liberating ourselves every day. Happy Liberation Day, Guam.
Thank you, Senator.
Thanks, Senator.
Senator Chris Duenas with the Minority Report. He's the minority leader of the Legislature in Guam. We're going to take a quick break, and we're coming back with Project U and the Guam Police Department next, right here on The Link. Good morning.